Hey guys, and welcome to a new reading wrap up. This is our little March reading wrap up already. Oh my god. I took the same angle as the January reading wrap up because I feel like it was actually pretty nice. So, welcome back. Once again, my goal this month of posting failed, but at least I'm back for the reading wrap up. So, what can I say? We are obviously here as usual with my matcha. So, let's do a little taste test because that's what we always do. We are back today with another little reading wrap up. I'm kind of sad about this reading wrap up because my month was going so well, and then my end of the month kind of had a little ick. I don't know if it was a reading slump because of the books I was reading and that I finished, or if it was simply because life happened and I just was in the mood for reading. But we haven't read anything right now since the 25th, and we are the 29th. So I could have finished a lot of books during that time, but I didn't. So that's the vibe. And I had a very tough end of the month. But we read 7 books this month. So this is the month we have read the most books. So I'm not too disappointed. My goal is usually around 10 books per month because I try to read 2 books per week. But we had some pretty fat books in there. But thankfully, I had my holidays, which helped me get through my TBR a bit more. But now I'm back to school. And with exam season approaching, it's a bit more difficult to read regularly, which is really sad because there's so many new books I want to read and so many rereads I want to have. But in any case, let's get on to it. Pretty much all of the books that are here were actually Kindle reads, so no physical TBR books, which is kind of bad because I really need to get through my physical TBR. And I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna go get my glasses because I'm feeling really exhausted, so I need my glasses today. Wow, suddenly the world is in 4K. Amazing. Okay, so let's get started with our first book of the month. Also, I didn't do my little recap like last time, and I feel like I am so lost about all these books. I feel like some of those books I read literally 3 months ago. So let's get on to it. First book I read was Game Changer. And so this is the first book in the series where there's Heated Rivalry. And I actually have Heated Rivalry right here. My friend gave it to me for Valentine's Day. But yes, so I read this because I told myself I wanted to read it before reading Heated Rivalry. And I heard a lot of people saying it wasn't as good as Heated Rivalry, but I still wanted to like give it a go, And I honestly did not like it, which is so disappointing. I'm hoping I will like Heated Rivalry more, but a lot of people that I've read like their comments and all that seem to have the same opinion. But Pip and Scott. Is it Pip? I think it is. Pip and Scott. I just felt like their relationship was very instant love. And I'm not a big fan of instant love. I'm very big fan of, longing and yearning and all that. And this was really like they met, they get in a relationship super quickly. And then I feel like we have the same issue bubbling up throughout the whole of the book. And the conflict is pretty much that issue, like finally coming to the surface. But it just, I don't know. I feel like it was also a lot of like telling that the characters love each other, but I didn't really see it as much. And obviously, I knew going to this that this was going to be smutty. I had heard about that, but I feel like I don't mind a book that is smutty if like the smut has a purpose. You know what I mean? And we can see the evolution of how the characters consider one another and their relationship through smut. But I don't know, this just felt a bit too much. I gave it a 3.25 because I still wanted to know how it went and it was still, fun. But I was kind of expecting more, and I was really excited to kind of maybe love Pip and Scott. And yeah, and I feel like we were seeing a lot of like Pip and Scott only together and not a lot of moments where it was just Pip living his own life and Scott living his own life. Or when we would see them living their own life, it was always because they were talking about the other person. I don't know. I feel like I had a hard time imagining Pip and Scott as their own distinct individuals. But there were a few moments where, like the gala scene or the scene where Scott comes out to his teammates. Those are scenes that I really liked and I would have loved to see honestly more scenes like that. But overall, it was still a good book, and I'm excited to see, you know, the other ones, Heated Rivalry, and I'm sure I will give the other books in the series a go as well. But yeah, second book we read, and I'm gonna put this in together with the other one that I read later on. We read The Mistake by L. Kennedy and then The Score. So this is the second and third book in the Off Campus series. If you didn't watch my February wrap up video, you can go and watch it right here. But I actually started a little reread of the Off Campus series before the TV show comes out. I remember reading the first time The Mistake, and I wasn't sure if I really liked it that much, but I really love The Mistake. It's such a fun book. If you're all for an MMC that is down bad for our FMC and that is ready to do anything and everything to get her back, yeah, you need to watch this. Like, so good. It's kind of like the vibe, and yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, that's kind of the vibe, and I really like seeing Logan, seeing him discover like, what kind of relationship he wants, and I really like our FMC as well. And then I read The Score by El Kennedy, which, from what I had remembered, was my favorite book in the series, and indeed it is. I just love Dean and Allie. I just love them. I love how the way their relationship evolved was very natural. I love the banter they have, the fact that they're teasing one another all the time. Yeah, I just really loved it. It was so much fun. I gave it a 4.25. And yeah, and normally I'm not a big fan of like friends with benefits to lovers, but this one I felt like was really well made because they really become friends along the way, and I just love it. And I just love Dean. He's my favorite male character in the whole series. I have yet to read the fourth book because I remember not liking it. I'm not a fan of the accidental pregnancy. So yeah. Then we obviously continued my read of the Zodiac Academy. So I read Shadow Princess, and then Curse Fates was the last book I finished for this month. And pretty much the one that kind of put me in a reading slump. Zodiac. So I gave Shadow Princess a 4 stars and Curse Fate a 3.75. Shadow Princess was really fun. I felt like we got some new perspective, which I was really liking. And the ending as well. So fun. The ending so fun. Well, not so fun, but so fun. And yeah, I really liked it. I like seeing our characters get closer. And like same the evolution of how it goes. But as I said, same as the other Zodiac Academy books, I feel like for the first 60 to 70%, it is so long, so slow. And I'm like, can we speed it up? And then everything happens in the last 40%. And I feel like this was so much more present in the fifth book, which is why I give it a lower rating, because I was no, I think actually, fifth book, I actually did enjoy the first 60%. I feel like it was slow and there was less plot, but we really concentrated on the character dynamics and the evolution of our characters' dynamics and their relationships, which I feel like was really nice because I also like, see, I don't want the characters to stay in the same state, I like good old little character evolution. So I really like that, but I hated the way the ending went. I felt like everything went down in 20 pages. And I was like, what? Pure chaos. And maybe that's just me, but I felt like there was really no foreshadowing for that ending. And I'm not saying you have to foreshadow anything. I love a good surprise, but I love having some hints as well. So I think actually, whereas the other books, my favorite parts were the ending and the last 40% of Zodiac. For this book, I think my favorite part was like between the 20% mark and the 60% mark, 70% mark. The ending kind of pissed me off. Like, not even, oh no, I'm frustrated. I was just like, what? I was like, I don't want to touch a Zodiac book again for a good month. Like, I am sick of the series. Oh, why am I doing this to myself? I'm sick, but at the same time, I want to see where it goes. Me and Zodiac Academy have like a toxic relationship. a toxic love relationship. Like Zodiac Academy is not good for me and does not meet and fulfill my needs. But yet it keeps me intrigued, so I keep going back to it. This is so crazy. Like I need to see the end of it. But my friend started the sixth book and told me sixth book is better. Um, but I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe in April, but I honestly don't have any high hopes with that because I don't want to read that right away. And then such a good surprise for this month. I did not expect this one to be a good surprise for me, but I read All This Twisted Glory by Tahar Mafi. So this is the third book in the Weekend Kingdom series. And I don't know if you remember, but I read the second book, I can't remember when, and I gave it a pretty lowish rating. And I was kind of disappointed. I felt like the plot wasn't advancing. Like it was enjoyable, but then when I closed the book, I was like, did anything even happen? This book, oh my god, you guys, I have no words. Everything that I didn't really like about the first book, like I felt like the POVs would like cut the story because we would like be moving from, I already forgot his name. Anyways, when we moved POV, because the both POVs were happening at the same spot, it felt like the story was kind of, being cut. But here, all the characters finally come together. We have Cyrus POV. Obsessed. I am in love with Cyrus. Like, I need a man that longs for me the way Cyrus longs for Eliza. Like, oh my god. The ending. And I feel like this one was a perfect mix for me of like plot plot things happening, and character dynamics. I loved it. Nothing to say. 4.75. I think I didn't give it a full 5-star because this beginning was tiny bit slow for me, but I ate this book up. I read it. I think the first maybe 30% took me 2 days, and then I finished. I nearly pulled an all-nighter. I was like, I am not putting this book down. And then I was like, I need the next book right now. But I loved it. I loved it so much. But now I'm really scared to read the next book because I've heard people said that they didn't really like the next book as much and they were kind of disappointed. So now I'm just scared. But love this. I don't know if you guys had seen the special edition of Imagine books for the series. I want them, but I cannot buy them. Okay, I've already pre-ordered Once Upon a Broken Heart special edition at Qatar. Your girl gotta keep her money right now. I'm gonna be bankrupt. I went to meet Elsie Silver. She came in Paris for the French release of Wild Love. So I thought, what a perfect occasion for me to reread Wild Love. And then it went on sale on the Kindle. So I was like, well, perfect. Because I bought all the other books. But the time I read Wild Love, it was on Kindle Unlimited in Canada, but it's not on Kindle Unlimited in France. So I bought it and I reread it. I gave it a tiny bit of a lower rating than I did the first time. I gave it a 4.25. Just so much fun. I feel like this book is just good vibes. I feel like this is how a brother best friends trope should be done. And I just always love Elsie Silva's writing. Always so fun. I love the characters. Nothing to say. Yeah. I need my matcha right now. But yeah, no comments. It was just perfect. What I needed. Fun, quick romance. But I think my favorite book in the series is the second one. Honestly. But I'd have to reread it to see. But yeah. In any case, that's it for all the books we read in March. I tried a new format in this video, less plot explaining and more just giving my opinion. So the video is a bit shorter than the other ones. But if you have watched the January and February bookish recap, please let me know what kind of bookish recap you prefer. Do you prefer these kinds of one where it's really just me giving my opinion? Or do you prefer like the February one where I really give you a whole plot recap and then full on detailed notes about the books I read? Because I'm fine with either. I just, want to give you guys what you enjoy the most. So on this note, I will leave you guys here And let's really cross finger that this time around April is the month that I actually publish more. I feel like I say this every month. This is getting a tiny bit problematic right now. In any case, thank you so much for tagging along. If you do like these kinds of video, hit the subscribe button, like it, and you can go check out my other reading wrap-ups if you want more reading inspos, or a lot of these are series that I read in February that I continued. So if you want a full-on in detailed, explanation synopsis of the series, go ahead and watch those reading wrap-ups. Thank you so much for tagging along, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.